Everyone has their maps.
Yep.
All right, we'll begin recording. We're on,
Recording.
okay,
Who's in his own one?
yep, Suzanne, can you hear us? Suzanne?
There's nothing up on the
Oh, the screen's not.
screen.
So,
Okay.
I think it takes me a little bit.
Suzanne, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I'm unmuted.
Okay. Meetings begun, step two, approval of the agenda. Want to make any adjustments?
That's fine to me.
Okay. We have something in public comment that we'll bring up at that point. So a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Eric and Ron.
Right.
Approval of January 13th minutes. I believe we did. I added that in because Michelle mentioned that she didn't see it in the notes or in the minutes. But I have checked off that we did do it on our February. Does anyone else recall?
I don't recall specifically, but I saw no problem with them.
Yeah.
As a side note, I went looking in Fact 8 today and found out that they are not recording our meetings. They do the select board, but they don't do the planning commission.
And they're supposed to?
Well, at one time they did. Maybe we're not paying them anymore.
Yeah, are they on the budget for us as well?
I can't answer that, but maybe Michelle can check with that to me.
Maybe and once we begin our new town plan, they should definitely be included, perhaps, or
Oh,
at some point.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are no planning commission meetings on the website.
We have been recording the meetings to the cloud, not the same thing.
Right.
So
How publicly accessible are they?
I have to check with him. I've just done once when I was doing some meeting notes. So I think if you ask, you can get it over.
I know at one time they were covered. And Fact 8, when I went looking, nothing here.
Well, I have, actually Buzz and Eric motioned and seconded I'm sorry, that was something different. But I did check off that we approved the minutes. So,
I will re-motion that we approve the January 13th, 2026.
okay, motion to accept the January, Eric second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Okay.
And my apology, just, but then, you went through the approval of the agenda so fast, I didn't realize what was happening, and what I'd like to propose is that, we sort of get an overview of what's happening around state with Act 181. And, see what we can come up, and perhaps Buzz can pull up some things for us. So I'd like to see that, and I'd like us to directly discuss these maps with the Regional Planning Commission and what they imply or don't imply.
Okay, can we do that under the agenda 4?
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
comment. Well, I guess it might be nice to, after we are through our approval minutes, that the first thing we do is see what we know, what's happening around the state.
Okay.
Back when they do it.
So wanna do that as a precursor to four?
And then, sorry?
We'll
So,
Okay.
okay.
we'll call it three A.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, it's after that, okay.
So Act 181 state,
Yeah, and then, the draft letter. And
yeah, that's got its own agenda, yeah.
maybe after the draft letter, before we look at conservation maps, we discuss regional plan commission maps. That makes sense?
Yeah, I have conservation maps view, so, but it's.
Yeah,
In general,
Yeah, I'm not sure if you meant the maps from the regional planning commission.
Yes.
Fine, the conservation issue, there's a separate one, and Eric, you may know a lot more about this than I do, but Vermont has conservation districts. Pretty much one per county. And, my understanding is they weren't even asked about the draft 181 and the work being done at the state level. And at least one conservation district has protested quite loudly about it. So it's a different issue. I'm not on top of it enough to say any more than that, but,
Thanks for bringing it up.
we might want to at least address that point separately from the regional plan commission maps.
okay. All right, so we'll. As I wrote conservation maps, it's regional,
They're conservation districts,
okay,
right?
so,
There, yeah, that's, this, agenda, I think refers to what we're looking
Yeah.
at here. But as you're rightly pointing out, there are conservation districts. And, I don't have any real interaction with them. When we had a natural resources committee with the WRC until it got canceled about a year ago, they had quite a bit of interaction with conservation district.
okay, well, we can
So it
bring
might
that
be
up,
worthwhile to just address that for,
yeah, we can address it in that agenda.
well, do you want to look at the conservation maps? Why don't we rename that regional plan commission maps?
Yes. Okay,
And then after that, a brief discussion on conservation districts and what role they might be playing in all this.
okay. Everyone good with that?
I sort of know where I want us to be trending in terms of our thinking, but.
Yeah. We'll get it flowing.
Okay.
All right, so we've got the agenda sorted, all in favor of these minor additions?
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
so moved.
so, okay, I'll make the motion. Eric second.
All right.
All right. March 10th minutes. Approval, any motion to approve?
Yeah. So moved. Second,
Yep,
they're good.
Eric and Ron. All in favor?
Hey,
Opposed?
stay.
You have to abstain. Not yet.
Welcome aboard.
He's gonna pick his number. He's got his new nameplate, but he's gonna pick his jersey number.
Our newest member knows that he has to take minutes for the next year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or he's gonna do laps around the building.
Yeah. One or the other.
He's probably the only one of this group that can do it. Okay. All right, so let's discuss a potential letter for opposing Act 181 like other towns have. Do we want to discuss that?
Do we want to do that before, just a brief overview of what we know is happening around the state?
Oh, yeah, okay, sure.
Okay,
Yep,
Okay,
yep, state,
I mean, I'll
update.
throw out, you know, just a few things that I know, but I just heard that VLCT has come out opposed to Waikiki one. Okay. And it may be online. So that's a big deal. So that's one item.
In its entirety or just the
I
tiers?
don't know, I haven't seen it, I was just told, contact people, someone said, hey, have you seen it? So, I can't even verify that it's actually true, but
You hunt them?
Yeah, and I don't see that, but there is some other things happen. I mean, do you want a summary of what I know? It's.
Yeah,
Which is.
yeah, it's a discussion for coming up with
So, I think it was 3 weeks ago. There was a protest, in Montpelier, about 181, we all attended. And that seems to be representing something of a growing backlog, throughout Vermont, from planning commissions and select boards. The protesting both the tier 3 and the road rule regulations. And there appears to be some, response to that in the Senate. They have advanced a bill S. 325 to delay the regulations with, critics citing that according to the Compass Vermont analysis, over 60% of Vermont faces jurisdictional rules challenging state housing goals. So, if that does not pass, the road rule was slated to take effect on July 1st of this
That's
year.
right.
And the tier 3 rules on December 31st. So that is still active legislation that's pending. And if that does pass, then there would be a delay, TBD as far as I know, of how long that would be. The Land Use Review Board, or the LURB, is currently managing the 3 public input periods for the tier 3 mapping and rules. And we had like his name, Alex, the attended
Yeah.
a select board meeting, who's on the land use review board, and gave us some of his feedback on what was happening. I will say personally, I think the road rule is pretty dramatic for someone that has kind of family land and a trust that 95% of it would be off, beyond that road rule. So, I tend to be kind of negative on that road rule and it's like that.
And is that regardless of tier 3, the road rule?
Yeah.
Yes, that is regardless of tier 3,
Yeah.
two totally separate things.
Yeah,
The other thing with the tier 3 is it just seems so arbitrary. Is that they put these big yellow blobs on a map and nobody seems to really know what's driving it. They say it's tied to forest
Forest
areas
blocks,
and habitat migration.
Mhm.
But if you, and some of the Vermont digger stories have done a pretty good job of covering this. If they talk to farmers, hunters, loggers, people that view themselves as traditional, conservationists, right? And people that do value the land, don't understand these maps. And so there's a lot of, concern about that, it's been kind of legislative driven, and not really getting a lot of local input, and causing a big concern, for people that, are concerned about their own property values. And just families that have lived in Vermont for a long time and view this as one more thing that makes it a little harder to look at.
I think it's more than legislative driven. The legislature has been led by the nose by the special interests of Act 250 and ANR to bring more state level regulation down on the landowners of Vermont.
I would not deny that, so, when I say legislative, that's probably the result of some lobbying and,
Yeah.
special interest groups that.
I would support Eric's statement. we could even name. We don't have to.
So that's a combination of things I've read and things I personally feel,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
feel free to add anything.
You know, one of the things in terms of the draft that we're gonna have to face is there's more and more statements coming out from select boards saying to repeal the whole thing, not delay. So for instance, Castleton and Clarendon and both select boards have made strong statements. This has to be repealed. And the Castleton one specifically includes getting rid of tier 1 and 2, and it gives reasons. And one of the reasons is because as the maps are, you don't know the boundaries. And it's also not quite clear just what freedom we get to develop housing under tier 1. That's so what you're having is people who've looked at it beyond just tier 3 are saying, hey, this can't pass. So that's an issue that's important for us because you've got these amorphous boundaries with tier 1 and tier 2 as well. And I might add, the blowback, you now have over 1,000 people signed up, publicly opposing this.
Isn't it like 9,000, I think, might be up to for petition?
10,000, that's what I said.
Yeah, 10,000, yeah.
10,000.
Yeah.
There's also been a couple of pretty powerful open letters to the legislature. Neil Ryan did one and Retta Dunlap. I liked hers, I thought it did a really good job of laying it out and looking at legislation and kind of the history.
Yes.
Back to 250.
Yeah, Annette Smith does a particularly good review of the history. And a very interesting part on rural regional planning commissions that are non-rural. Several regional planning commissions have started coming forward with this, and ours is quiet as a mouse.
I would like to add that I believe that the legislation should not be delayed in implementation. It should be repealed. Delaying it just kicks the can down the road and allows people to lose focus on what is irritating them most about what has been done to them. And what should be happening is that the thing should be repealed entirely, start from scratch and actually interact with the local level where decisions should be made cooperatively, not by state level fiat.
I can easily support that. One of the things that's in the original statements is that this draft map is a structural map, which is a fancy way of saying they haven't looked at the land. It's not a functional map. The same way as our 40% increase in assessed values is a structural thing. So. And so what we have is a top-down effect that says we haven't looked at this, but do what we tell you.
Yeah, so it's like river corridors.
Yeah, they didn't do their due diligence with any LiDAR or engineering.
Ground truth on, going down the river corridor right there. That's correct. Back to our letter, I first of all, I think it should be calling for at least a repeal of road rule and tier 3 designations. And I would really like to see justification for effectively zoning over a mile of contiguous road, properties on the road, to a wildlife corridor. And if they're doing that, what animal requires a mile's worth of regulation for its passage I don't think they can support that.
No, I can't.
Mhm. So to draft a letter, we'll include those, do we address it directly to the governor?
This be plugged in?
Well, my thought is that we would draft a letter if we could,
Let's
Yeah.
put that speaker up there.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
to send to the select board.
I'm sorry. You said, yeah, yeah.
Sending a letter to the select board and ask them to take it and move it on and adjust it as they wish.
Yeah, but do we address it directly to the governor or whom?
You know, it's a good question.
We don't have to go through the select board for this.
No, we don't, but, I think it'll carry more weight if it does. And the letter can refer to that, you know, that it was brought forward from the planning commission after careful consideration.
Okay,
But the select board can go on and approve your letter.
yeah, or add to it.
Add to it.
Just, I think there's value to having both.
You know,
The fan at the
Yeah,
same
well,
time.
no, it could be signed by both Sianos, you know.
Plus, I don't think it needs to go to one person. I think, well, you could send it to the governor, but then I think you would copy it to, the Senate, or the office of the Senate, the House, and the land use review board.
Yeah, as I said, or, yeah,
Good, yeah, good list.
Yeah, because the governor can, you know, kind of initiate laws or veto laws,
Yeah.
but he's not the one
Yes,
writing them.
no, sort of like to give them a little push to.
Yeah,
But he has a pretty big
More
baseball bat.
so I would send it to all.
Yeah,
I wanna have coffee with him next week,
I'm sorry,
when I have coffee with him next week, I can hand him the letter.
Yes.
don't spill the coffee. And maybe even copy to VLCT, so they just have one more community that's,
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, there are many towns that have done this already, and select boards, so do we have a list of?
Oh, add WRC in that list, because they should know what we're coming up.
I think they have a hint of what we might be doing.
Yeah, but I would rather they had it up front
Yeah,
and have to
yeah.
read it in the news or
Yeah.
ferret it out sometime.
Yeah, getting back to, you know, Wyndham Regional, how do we get them on our side rather than just following what the state wants them to do?
well, we.
They are on our side.
Go ahead.
They are on our side.
Okay,
They're, in a sense, they try to represent us, but they're also trying to interpret state regulations to us, so we understand what they are. They shouldn't be taking the side of the state. When the regional commission is comprised of representatives from all of the towns in the region. So it is our representative body with the administrative staff and so.
so they should present the information without any bias whatsoever, and we make the decision
Yeah,
based on what they.
sorry to interrupt.
And
You know, one thing when we look at their maps. And try and make sure they understand what the proposed land use map has to do with 181. And, you know, we could begin to discuss how we respond to the regional planning commission. I don't think we need them in terms of thinking how we're gonna draft a letter that comes from
No,
this commission and the select. To let that go for the next item. So,
no,
I'll address that.
I think I found what you were talking about. I did another search. So it says the VLCT generally supports the goal of increasing housing production through Act 181, but has taken a strong position that the current implementation framework is unworkable, overly burdensome to municipalities, and will not produce the needed housing in rural areas. As of April 2026, the VLCT has actively testified to the Vermont legislature that the Act 181 implementation and cannot support the rural housing Vermont needs, and has called for significant delays and adjustments. So,
Yeah, so that's important that they've done this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But as a community, we should still have it on record that we're in opposition, it's not moot that we're doing this, it's
Yeah.
valuable.
I believe
Yeah.
it's our election of duty for us to be quiet about this. It affects our townsfolk, it affects neighbors, and it affects other towns even worse. If you look at Townsend, poor Townsend. It could cross the street without getting that
Right.
Act 250 adjustment, so.
Well, I pulled a few facts out that I had learned on just my personal notes and, basically, the timeline set by the legislature is far too compressed to ensure a thoughtful rollout. Number one, the road rule intended to reduce forest fragmentation in tiers 2 and 3 would restrict the ability to build driveways and roads. So I'm just listing these out, bullet points. The initial draft of tier 3 mapping was overly broad, as we just discussed. Placed far too much of Vermont into the restrictive category. And then, I'm making another bullet point of something we talked about. This is clearly state zoning. Should we put it right out there?
Sure. Language will get people's attention.
And basically it's enforced through an unelected body, LURB. So they have a lot of power and that board can change, every, 4 or 5 years? The attrition on that board can change. How do they change out someone who
Did they die?
moves on?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, or is it a pope position,
When Alex was on the Zoom with us, responding to Al Sands' question about, who has basic control over them, and he said basically no one, that they are appointed, and there's nothing that anybody else can do about it. It's almost like a Supreme Court appointment. So I worry about that. I know that provides them with insulation from petty politics, but on the other hand, there's if they're doing some kind of personal agenda item that doesn't square with the rest of Vermont, how do you get rid of them? And that just isn't a very good policy.
There's 5 in all, right? And there's 5?
Yeah,
And I remember Alex told us the dynamics of the
they
group.
all have different backgrounds.
Yeah,
Which is good.
Yeah.
And they're professionals, and they're being well paid, and have a staff. And, Alex sounded like, he's a good person, he wants to do right. But he also made clear that he's implementing a law that he's been directed to do.
Mhm.
And so they're doing their best to interpret that law. But that law, has put them in a bit of a bind. So you have a draft map, that's horrible. But it's their best attempt to show the law geographically. I don't think there's, nefarious stuff going on behind the scenes there. That stuff is happening with the legislature. These people are the bureaucrats, and they're doing their best for the set of rules. But it's not going to be a good result because the rules are awful.
so we're in agreement that draft a letter. Do we need the motion that we're gonna do this, or we need a motion?
Well, at some point we need a motion. Let's just think about some of the other things.
Well, the other bullet points, yeah.
Yeah, what animal requires more than a mile of contiguous properties to feel comfortable in a wildlife corridor?
One mile?
It's over a mile up there in Stagecoach.
You know what it is. I mean, what animal is gonna be deterred from crossing a dirt road on someone's private property because it's over 800 feet?
You're talking,
They go on and on, I mean, there are a million things, the letters that I've seen from, select boards, and I've seen about 5 or 6 now. You know, a couple are pretty short, and a couple, they just go on and on, details, they're good letters, but, you know, they really take on each of the issues that they find important.
Mm. Now, you mentioned a name of an article you read Annette Smith's. I didn't-
Sorry?
You read it,
Yes.
yeah, I didn't read it entirely. You wanna paraphrase any of that? Is she any good?
No, it's 9 pages. And it's a good guide, it goes to, you know, the history and things like that. And I think it's page 4, so you might be able to pull it up, you know, it's Annette Smith.
Okay.
And how did they get published? Blanking, where it pops up from. You might try Act 181 and see, but page 4 is on the role of the regional planning commissions. And I think it would be useful for us to look at her review of that.
Yeah,
But
and is she doing this privately or is it for a group
Well-
or town or?
Annette is a interesting person. She spearheaded a lot of the anti-wind fights in the state 10, 12 years ago. Vermonters for a clean environment. So she made a lot of enemies, a lot of friends, but it was a real split home. But what she's always done, as far as I know, so I don't know her, is she's great for going up to the state and attending their meetings, oftentimes, you know, making statements, but more often than not, just having really good reports on what's going on.
So she does her due diligence and research and,
So she's very good factually and some details and stuff like that.
And not finding her letter right now. Annette Smith.
Probably a statement to one of the committees, you know, I'm sorry, I. Back, what the hell I was reading.
so, you know, my bullet points were the obvious that everyone's talking about. And basically key concerns with Act 181 as it has evolved to this point, when I'm gonna word that. So I'll be glad to take all our notes, put them together, come up with a draft, or how do you wanna do that?
Advocate for, repeal as opposed to delay.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to make that decision amongst ourselves.
I'm not opposed to that, but politics, you don't get the whole pie. Yeah, but you can ask for it.
And for the full repeal,
Huh?
for the full repeal?
I think you can ask for full repeal, I'm not sure. Yeah,
Or at least the, tier 3 and road rule.
yeah.
I guess I would argue we just, you know, support other towns that, you know, have other worries about this and. You know, we can make. the case that-
I'm not opposed to making that ask, I'm just
Yeah.
saying realistically, I'm not.
The problem won't ever be solved unless, or satisfactorily resolved. Unless it gets repealed and has to be started from scratch, because if it gets delayed, we'll just forget about it until it's right on the, you know, the 11th hour and oh, damn, we were gonna do something about this. We didn't do it. Well,
Well, one other item I thought of was, I went to the, in Rockingham, it was the, what did they phrase it? It was they were talking about the 30-30, 50-50 rule.
Yeah.
And we want to mention that's kind of where this is leading up to. Or is it?
So-
Some say it is, some say,
Well, it's not leading up to it. Those rules are pushing this stuff.
pushing this, okay,
It's the other direction. It's
Okay.
because of the existence of those requirements. And that's where you start getting involved with some other groups that are, some of them are around the state as well. So. I guess from my perspective, I don't know enough about it that I don't want to end up saying something that's just not spot on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in our discussions
Yeah.
in Rockingham, at the, was at the theater. A lot of people agreed that hey, we're already there at 30-30, maybe even 50-50 in the state that's conserved already. And why are you pushing more homeowner land to become restricted?
Um. And perhaps this ought to go in the letter as well. I think there is a legitimate cause to try to preserve, create wildlife corridors. It's just how they're going about it is all the wrong way. I think at a local level, we should be talking about how we are going to connect forest blocks, how we are going to provide enough width and cover for animals to cross easily. But it's something that we need a good local buy-in, because the property value is taken for that. Should cost something to the municipality, and we should have wildlife biologists working with us to guide what kinds of animals and where we need to have the connections for the forest lots. It's just that we need to be involved at a local level in a meaningful way.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, and, you know, and that may be something where we can push regional planning commission to step up and be of help.
Yeah.
You know.
So more local level influence
Yeah,
Yeah.
collaboration.
and
To use these terms, we need our local level input. So you can come up with a functional set of maps. That are actually based on, the real world around here, as people have experienced it.
making notes and random. Yeah. So preserve wildlife corridors and forest blocks without adverse rules, law. And rather more local level influence and collaboration. Something to that effect.
Okay.
Are we doing, you getting some of this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's thrilling. Does anyone know how exactly they even came up with the structure for this? I mean, you mentioned LiDAR. Did they use that kind of stuff? Because you no boots on the ground to look around in any place. I'm just curious if anyone really knows the specifics on that.
It goes back a few years, and most of it came at about the same time we had the wind fight in town. But in that era anyway, the Agency of Natural Resources made some generalizations, and the Wyndham Regional made some generalizations, both of which captured, well, almost, yeah, I would say a majority of the landmass in Grafton. It's roughly 50-50, that which was under real kinds of conservation kind of language, and Wyndham Regional, which was taking state A&R stuff and incorporating it. And then there was very little interaction from the regional level to the local level about how we viewed their choice of boundaries. And in the last edition of the town plan, we basically to appease the Wyndham Regional Commission, and we needed to bless the plan, allowed a very strange division of forest designation that follows Route 35 between here and Chester. One side is one type and the other side is another type. And none of us could see, oh, in the world the two were significantly different from one another. It was an uncomfortable situation. Now they're taking that same kind of, blocking of the areas, it's in the. Here, to look at the forest blocks. Yeah. Yep. Look at the size of the forest, the dark green there, and then look at the, where they're calling priority forest blocks. That takes up, the highest priority forest blocks are taking up more than any other part of the town, so. They're really treating us municipally as a total conservation district. And if you back off to look at the proposed land use, it moderates things a little bit, but it still has some of the same. But this one is actually modified from the way the A&R came out several years ago. But if you looked at this map right here, right about where the 35 is there.
Yep.
That was green on the left and lighter colored on the right. It made no sense. This division of forest blocks makes a lot more sense to me. I think I could live with that, the way they've done it this time. But what we can do within them, that's where it becomes the question of how we get involved with Wyndham Regional to say, well, maybe this isn't just a complete, highest priority law, that we can't do anything with it. And there's some good wiggle room there, but it wasn't before. We may have missed some things, but that's basically where it came from.
Proposed land use.
Yeah, it's this map here,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, they've got that. What used to go up right up 35 is now more over the rock again. Right, it used to go right up
Yeah,
35, yeah.
this all used to be the same color through there.
And one of the questions you end up asking, look at these forest blocks, I'm glad we're talking about it. So, that priority forest block area on the upper northwest corner of Grafton is exactly the area that's being tapped by T3.
That was part of it. It's bigger than that.
Yeah, because we can't see Chester in
And
this.
it's not, and it's sort of like it's flipped. If that was the case, wouldn't that be the highest priority? And then you might as well just have the whole damn town highest priority. But anyways, it's odd that they laid it out that way. Another issue that I see here is the terminology. Because the proposed future land use has a rural conservation area that, the future land use shows the reverse. The proposed one has an area called resource, that the future land use is called rural conservation. And I don't know what the distinctions are, enough to know whether I should be worried about there.
We need to be worried about getting good definitions that flow from our plan to the regional plan.
Exactly.
What the state is.
Exactly. It's too amorphous. Both in terminology and then,
It'd be nice if they had a description of what these labels mean.
Yeah.
Oh. Black Bear Travel Quarters.
Can I ask, who's developed this map?
these maps, original plans. Yeah. Yeah. Um,
All right, well, we segue to plans here, just put a closure to the letter here, I think we've got plenty, I can. Is it, can I draft something and send it, or how do we do that?
Well,
How are you?
I did find what you were talking about, Annette Smith is the executive director of Vermonters for a Clean Environment.
Yeah,
And she did an Act 81 analysis. I downloaded that in PDF and I sent it to you. Clayton, I need to get your.
Yeah.
And then I'll send it to you.
If you want it now, I can give it to you at the end.
Sure.
It is right.
and I believe page 4 of that is addressing, regional plan commissions.
Did glance at it. Statewide zoning is under serious considerations. And see how it applies, I don't see it's addressed directly, but the paging might be different than what. you're-
I see, yeah, that's the document that I perused, didn't peruse it, I just quickly went over it and looked at the regional plan part carefully. That was 9 pages and the regional plan discussion.
9 pages.
All page 4. So. It show up there. Anyways,
It does talk about there's a need for higher level review of regional plans and regional planning commission. Yeah, it does.
yeah, so one of our points is that the regional plan commissions are reacting to all this stuff in different ways. They're not following a consistent set of ways of, what's their job. It seems to be, whatever they decide to worry about or want to discuss.
I think I should point out that the regional planning commissions, even though they have that, most of them have that title. Do not all have the same objectives or original, formation, motivation. There are a bunch of them, including the Northeast Kingdom, one. I believe as well of the, Northwest, which would be up in Franklin County. I think those are both development commissions, which meld in basically economic development with municipal planning.
Which one you two? Yeah.
Wyndham Regional especially, and I think Bennington are both primarily municipal type planning or regional planning commissions, not development organizations.
Are they all funded in the same way?
Yes, I think they are. Underfunded.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be originally funded by the property transfer tax. And when the legislature figured out that the property transfer tax is a nice place to be able to balance their budget, and they just pulled out just about everything they possibly could. And as a result, and this is something that I don't particularly like, having seen what it has done to the way Wyndham Regional operates, is that the planning commissions, the regional planning commissions now have to search for grant money and external funding sources, not neutral state sources.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
For their existence.
They all, I was under the impression that our regional plan commission, spends time looking for grants, applying for grants.
All the time.
So that won't be the same for the Bennington one, and the next one, so they may have different levels of funding in terms of their needs, so. You know, one may have more money to hire more staff or,
And some of them actually have a development charter in their existence.
Yeah. So they're going after money. And responding to state oversight and requirements. Not a good situation to be in.
No, because they're doing a lot of what middle tier statewide government should be doing. We don't have a very robust link between municipal level concerns and state level concerns. And that being things like local road issues, emergency planning, um, natural resources. The state is entirely, almost entirely insulated from us. Municipally. And that link in between has to exist by going out and beating the bushes to try to find money to pay the people to operate the staff. That's not a good existence.
You know, it's ironic because historically Vermont towns have been so powerful, local control. And so that the county level historically has been very weak in much more so than most other states. And now we've arrived at the point where, you know, the state has gutted local control to a significant extent. And we have no, you know, link between local, which has no power anymore, and the state level. Well, among other, it's an impossible situation.
I pulled up page 4 of Annette's letter, couple of quick points. The process of developing the FLU maps appears to be inconsistent depending on which regional planning commission is doing the work. And let's see, reports from some areas of the state are that regional planning commission staff are being aggressive in pushing towns to change their future land use maps. And pressure to apply for tier 1B status is often unwelcome. I'm sorry, 1B. It's 1B.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to us. I know.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to us, yeah.
You're gonna have to look up, because
And she goes on to say, those designations become relevant in regulatory proceedings in court. So what is the purpose of Act 181 FLU map, she questioned. At the statute, it appears to be to enable regional planning commissions to approve tier 1B designations. And none of this makes any sense. So she goes through the whole, everything. And she, it's a tier. Let's see.
well, she's always been good at that sort of
Yeah, she's
research.
amazing.
But that was one of the points that I picked up on, which is why I brought up the topic, as, you know, these different regional plan commissions, the staff. They work in different ways and in slightly different agendas, and there's nothing to hold them together at the state level, at no coordinating thing.
Well, they actually do have a coordinating board, and basically the executive directors get together. But it's just a committee that gets together.
Yeah.
They're pretty much independent organizations.
So it makes them particularly useless in a situation like this, that's statewide.
Yep. But they are trying to interpret the law for us, so we understand what we're up against.
So couple things. We need a motion to create the letter, and then how do we create the letter and then approve it?
That's the rub. I hate to say it, but I think we should reconvene to approve the letter. Especially if there were any kind of tweaks put to it, because that becomes an open meeting issue where we're actually discussing town business. And it should not be done in a forum that is not accessible for public.
Yeah.
Painful, but.
And we'd post the draft letter,
Yeah.
or do we need to?
I guess what I said following along with Eric is. We proposed that you come up with the first draft.
Yeah.
Send it around for comments, individual comments. You put together.
I'll do that.
Yeah, but any comments have to go back to him, not to the.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'll send it individually, and then I'll comment
Exactly.
back to me, I can put it together,
So you can come up with a second draft
yeah,
and then
then
we
we can
can meet
reconvene.
to come up with a final draft. Or, you know, second draft as is. And so one question is. You know, I don't think we can do this for the next select board meeting, because you're meeting next Monday.
Yeah, fine.
But we can do it for the one after that, which would be the first one in May.
We're gonna be too late, or is it?
As I said, we can send our own letter in independently of the select board.
We can do that. We want,
But we still have to reconvene.
and the other thing
Yeah.
about, you know, one of the issues is how much is the governor going to, demand for changes, as you know? Will we settle for delay or go for more, or, and, you know, they've got to work that out. You know, I think it's, what is it, in first couple of weeks of June is when he has this time for vetoing legislation.
Hmm.
And they-
So he could repeal it on veto, correct?
Well,
Well,
no,
yeah,
But then it'd have to go back to the House and Senate.
there'd have to be something that actually repeal, well, the road rule particularly. Is gonna go into effect.
yeah,
It is already law.
you know, these things can't be changed unless there's no laws written.
The lawyer could decide to write a rule that says, we're not gonna enforce this. I suppose. I think that the political pressure has to be high enough that the governor feels he has enough support from the populace to go after the special interests that want to keep this thing on a delayed schedule rather than a repeal. It's the House Energy and something or other committee right now, particularly the committee chair, that is blocking anything that would resemble repeal or change the course. And that's the committee that really has to be brought around, but if the governor knows that there's a broad level of support for getting rid of this and starting from scratch, I think that's valuable.
Mhm.
You don't know the possible scenarios, but, you know, one is, okay. There's a compromise for the delay, you know, especially with the rural caucus, which includes a lot of Democrats. So you do that, but you've got all this pressure going, and then depending on the results in the November election. Start next January, you say this thing gets repealed. Okay. So. I don't see us losing anything by asking for the appeal now.
Mhm.
Just added to the pressure.
All right, so. The motion to create a letter opposing Act 181 and road rule.
Actually, the road rule is part of 181. It's a combination of tier 3 and
So do we, we're
Well,
opposing Act 181 in general, leave it at that?
Well, I would myself, but.
Don't need to mention the road
Agree
rule.
with that.
Yeah.
But you've laid out your bullet points as to why, okay?
Yeah,
So you don't have to spend time on tier 1 and 2 if you don't want to. If you want to look at that at all, I know the Castleton Select Board letter addresses that. You know, they have their reasons for why one should be worried.
They're a
about
big
this,
community.
as well as tier 3. But we don't have to because, you know, we're giving our reasons, and our primary reason is tier 3 at this point. And we laid out some of the specifics, including the road rule. But we're not asking them to, you know, delay it, we're asking them to throw the damn thing out. You know, if they want legislation that throws part of it out later on, then.
Okay.
Politics of that.
but getting back to the motion, what should how should the motion be worded? Help me out.
For you,
Yeah, we're gonna make a motion.
please write a nice draft letter that addresses all these points.
With replies only to the chair. And we will reconvene to discuss the final draft.
I think we should try and send this out as the first draft
Mhm.
for each of us to address to you individually our
Yeah,
thoughts about it.
Yeah.
So then we have like a updated draft from you.
we'd have something to bring into that meeting.
Yeah.
If we're all in agreement, we can say, yeah, and we're out of here in 10 minutes.
And also ask AI to solve it.
Yeah,
So,
so motion,
when's the select board meeting in May? How's the timing on that?
It's the first and the third.
Monday. Monday is what day in May, the first Monday? Today's the 14th.
Oh, it's this coming Monday.
May 4th.
Select board meeting.
Yeah.
But you want to know next month?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we can do this for this coming Monday.
In May, the first Monday will be the 4th, so that'll be our first meeting, the third one is the 18th, so that'll be our second.
Okay. Well, we could meet at the very end of April.
Yeah. Again, I would reiterate. When the select board meeting is or isn't is somewhat immaterial. We're writing this to present as the Grafton Planning Commission. It would be nice for it to be available to the select board before they do something, but we're not dependent upon them to do something for us.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, you know, we do it, we send a copy to the select board can pick it up and support it or not, and then send it out as select board supports it. That's fine.
So we had our actual motion yet?
no,
I'll make a motion that Matt is going to create a draft letter regarding Act 181, specifically addressing tier 3 maps and the road rule and any other criteria he feels is pertinent. He will send the letter individually to each of the planning board members for comment back. We will then determine a time to meet to finalize the letter that will be sent to the governor, the Senate, the House, and the Lord. That letter will be sent from the planning commission and then shared with the select board if they decide to take action as well.
Excellent.
did you write all that down?
Second that.
Did the recording. Okay, he motioned, Eric second, all in favor? Aye, opposed? We just need to pick a reconvening date or not?
Better if we try rather than try and do it over, you know, electronic media. 2 weeks from now,
So second, let's see,
28th.
the first Tuesday of, no, last Tuesday of the month?
Yeah, that work?
What do you got, Clayton, for date?
That's 28.
Tuesday?
Tuesday, 28.
It's
I
April.
wasn't in my motion, so you only move for that.
So we're gonna add, we'll reconvene Tuesday, April 28th. We'll have to warn the meeting and the draft letter needs to be
Doesn't have to be,
public or not?
well, it has to be public once we're done with what we're working on that day.
Right, so that day we can. Okay, and then the select board can take it from there if they want, if they so choose.
June first to July first, that the road rule was supposed to go in effect,
July 1st.
July first.
Fiscal year.
Yeah, our select board meetings coming up on the 20th, but then in May, it's, on the 4th and then on the 18th.
Yeah, before, well, you'll have it before then.
Yes, you'll still like that, well. Yeah. Okay. You're gonna do minutes, right? So you'll include the motion. Clayton, you wanna take it on? Or not yet? Nothing. Pay attention. Okay, so we got that. Okay, back to the plans, anything, what more you wanna talk about the region, yeah. Conservation District. You wanna talk about?
Well, we wanna talk about the regional plan commission maps. No,
First,
we'll
well, we've touched in on them a little bit. Again, the most important one is the proposed,
go.
future land use, right?
Now, I thought, but Matt, I may have heard this from you, so you can set me straight, but that the proposed future one was taking into consideration Act 181. Is that
I
how?
think we posed that, I posed that question to Matthew, but he never really
Okay, okay.
confirmed it.
Okay,
He's got it dated, draft proposed 4/10/26. I'm assuming if,
well, I mean, what's happened is they become much more specific, so you don't have these nice curved lines separating colors anymore. You've got these nice straight lines and.
yeah,
Oh, parcel lines.
they reshape it.
Uh, uh,
You're right, they did pick up the parcel lots, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And rural conservation is. I'm in as a sort of what do you call it? Google learner.
I think if you were to take that green shaded area, put it all together in one block, I bet you we'd be close to 50% Northern County. Future land use,
Draft proposed.
Future land.
Proposed plan.
the draft proposed, yeah,
Future.
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 But again, what does rural conservation mean for these folks?
Not sure.
We got rural agriculture and forestry. And if that's what it implies, then the real rural conservation might be like a hands-off.
It might be, I think in order, I think these definitions for land use are probably following the most recent, edition of the Wyndham Regional Plan. So if you went there, you'd probably find definitions.
Well, that was an issue when we did the last town plan, when we went through the maps. It was always like, what are the definitions?
It was, yeah. Yeah, the older map here, the proposed land use, this one. It has the old designations on it.
Yes.
Well, they've taken productive rural, and broken it down into 1, 2, 3, 4 different categories.
I have a feeling you're correct, that the rural conservation is probably highest level of conservation.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, do nothing.
Wonder how high a level.
That's where we may have to impose some moderation.
Yeah,
So, just looking quickly at public and conserved lands. You got Molly Beatty and you've got, the land forest and you've got, they don't. Well, I guess they do it. The Putnam Forest doesn't show in future land use, so it's rural conservation, does it? That, or does it? No, Beatty Forest does fall into rural conservation. Land Forest does. Or is it falling into the? Okay,
Okay.
is it falling into that block of green there?
I think it is, that's Putnam. That's Putnam, and Rand is over here.
Yeah, so I guess it does.
no, they have it all.
Or just, we did our last town plan, we were gonna put these on a clear, where we could project them and you layer it, so you can see the.
Yeah.
You know, let's do it now, because the map is perfect
Yeah.
to, line up. You gotta flip through them. Suppose that could be done, huh? Or, we could do it through,
Exactly.
into the software program that might do that, or do they have one maybe? Regional,
Do
what I'm saying?
what?
Where you can superimpose maps,
Oh, yeah,
you know, and show them on a screen where you can flip through and go, yeah, that's, yeah, like that, yeah.
We'll do something.
they're just all separate layers of the same map.
Yeah,
I was trying to find out if they have their definitions on.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
So look for the most recent regional plan. And then look for the land use categories.
Yeah, I did.
And couldn't
They
find it.
look like different ones.
They might be different maps, but they should have the same nomenclature. Maybe not.
let's go to forest blocks. Wow.
Yeah,
you remember what the definition of forest blocks was?
I don't think there's a definition.
Definition is a state of Vermont.
Yeah, agency natural resources.
She had him do one up for, zoning, flood zoning. Right? Flood map. Is that updated yet?
But
Yeah,
that's a national map.
the ones I'm finding on their site say 2024. So I'm looking at the wrong place.
And Wyndham Regional just adopted a new edition. I'm pretty sure it's been adopted, this year. Updated.
So should I ask for that? One of these so we can each have one, we start, and we can use these as we start doing,
They're all labeled 2025 and come from August of 24. So it must have
It's just
been
2020.
officially adopted.
Oh, that top one says 2024. Then some of the others are dated this year.
Yeah,
right, well, the
So maybe
future land use is current.
So the Wyndham Regional site does not have a regional plan that was just barely adopted.
You wouldn't find,
Yeah, all the maps say 24 except for this one.
Yeah, but
you're right. That was a mistake. It looks like they were brought forward at different dates in 24.
you're not sure they have all their site plans. Yeah.
oh, within the regional plan, there should be a definition of land use categories.
They adopt a new plan every year?
No,
Oh,
used to be 5 years, now it's 8 years.
they do it every 5 years, you say?
They did do it every 5 years, it's every 8 years now.
So they're regional.
Yeah.
There, the same way as for the towns.
Yeah,
Okay, I found one now that says most current for future land use. Rural conservation. Okay, click on
Yeah.
Hmm.
That, because that's not on the
that's all,
previous year's one,
but actually, rural conservation's on the new one too.
the new one.
that. Okay, it does have a key. Rural conservation. Areas of significant natural resources, including habitat, connectivity, and interior forest blocks. May include existing very low density residential, recreation, farming, or working forest areas. Note these areas are not tier 3, as tier 3 mapping is completed by the Land Use Review Board.
Okay.
So it is kind of up to date.
They say.
Do you have their description of what they call rural agriculture and forestry?
Rural areas comprise primarily of forest and farmland.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
Trying to make the distinction between that and what you call it forest or, okay.
I'll send you the link to this one as well, because it's to the bit of digging that fund.
Any questions, Clayton? What do you think? Have you seen these maps before?
I haven't seen. It just seems so ambiguous as to why they're labeled what they are. I'm trying to figure that out, but I don't know if there really is any figure out.
Some of it's just.
It's all bureaucracy.
Yeah, I guess. That's a good point of layering these and lowering the opacity so you can see where everything lays over each other. I think that's probably a good idea. But or my own interpretation, I guess, but
We're doing this in any kind of detail, I think we should. Ask Wyndham Regional to take Grafton, just a little bit of border. Blow it up into one single map and put the road infrastructure on it so we can clearly see. Where all these boundaries are. That would be pretty easy for Jeff Nugent to do.
so does their site, it's not an interactive map at all, it's just posted like this PDF, so you just open up, it's not an interactive thing like that.
It's not interactive as far as I know.
I just sent you a link to, it's a little interactive, you can go into it a little bit. And it does have some information that will feed you. Like river corridors, if you zoom into it, it might let you do roads.
Does it layer it in?
That was the question.
Yeah.
Basically, you can turn various layers on and off.
I haven't found that, but it did, if I'm clicking on it and they happen to catch one, it'll tell me what it is.
As far as an interactive map is concerned, that
Yeah,
Agency.
it's not like a CAD map where you're turning layers on and off.
the Agency of Natural Resources does have a map that works that way.
But it does let you select items on it and it'll give you a little detail about it.
If you wanted to find river corridors and flood zones. And any number of other state designated things geographically in Grafton, you go to that map. It is part of the Agency of Natural Resources. What the actual page number is called.
All right, yeah, we got the basins and watersheds, yeah, that's that's our last map. We have. But it doesn't show the corridors or the,
Those are the watersheds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The animals have to stay within their color. You can't
you know,
go from one color to the next. We might send the Regional Planning Commission a copy of our letter.
Yes, I'd suggested that, yeah.
Oh.
yeah, we get that, I've got the government, House, the Senate, LURB, VLCT and WRC. Anything else? Yeah, we can go over that again when we reconvene. Now, if anyone has any comment after this meeting, you can send it individually to me. But it can help me formulate this. If you've got, just send me a paragraph or two, bullet point or two. And,
You know, since this stuff really should be as public as possible. Would it make sense to publish it in the Grafton News?
for May. Yeah,
You know, if we have a general idea of the size of the letter. We might give Wendy a heads up, it was the 28th, would be, you know, too late for her, she generally works things about 6-7 days before the end of the month.
all right. So it wouldn't come out until June.
Yeah, it usually sends an email.
Yeah, but, you know, could ask her.
Could I send her a draft before we meet? I can't. No.
I would, no, I think it's something that
Yeah.
we've signed on to.
Okay, we sign on, then
Just
send it. Yeah.
If it's too late, it's too late.
Yeah, so it'll make the June.
Yeah. Yeah.
More as a, here's what we've done. At that point.
Let's see.
And then in your meeting in May, first week meeting in May, just have it as a. Pencil it in as an agenda item, right? Pencil it in as an agenda item to review,
For May fourth agenda.
yeah, letter.
And hopefully formulate one from the select board.
I'm sorry,
And hopefully, formulate a letter from the select board, the same issue.
So 2 letters from.
Yeah.
I need somebody to write it. Sign up on first.
You can just do a letter of support, the original letter.
Letter of
I
support.
don't think you need to rewrite the whole
I
thing.
don't know, rewrite the whole thing. A supportive letter.
The first letter will be the one with the content. Select word just saying yes.
If we wanted to, look at one of the things that I've thought a lot about relative to the wildlife corridors and our future land use map. I think the town needs to support getting an easement somewhere across Townsend Road. Links the two forest lots of basically Athens Dome and the forest towards Wyndham. Somewhere along there. The equitable way to do it would be to purchase an easement that would allow tree and brush cover to grow up a certain width, and change the tax status so that the persons whose land it goes over no longer pays the same rate because they no longer have freedom to log it or other things. But
So you're talking about a connectivity,
across here,
yeah,
Can you say that again, what map and where you want the easement?
look at future land use.
future land use, the draft proposed, if you think of Townsend Road,
Itself.
something that links the Athens Dome with the Wyndham Forest along that road.
Where do the power lines cross there?
That's up on top. That's out of Grafton.
And it crosses over,
I think the easiest place to do it would be, along, Howard Brook. That's just what I think be the easiest,
Why don't you want an easement?
to create a wildlife corridor link between the two forest plots.
it basically connects the rural conservation area to the from the Grafton side over to the Athens side along Townsend Road. Why didn't they do that anyway? Cause there's a steep ravine all the way down through there that, right?
I think they were working on basically where people had, more highly developed the land. Hadn't on Stagecoach Road, but out the valley, it's pretty heavily developed.
Well, no, if you go down Townsend Road,
Mm-hmm.
where you're talking, you go through it, you go through that little peninsula of Grafton in Athens. Or you asked, why did they do that? That's all steep ravine all down through there, all the way.
Yeah, so it could be along Willie Brook or it could be along Hell Brook.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the brooks because they're somewhat natural, habitat.
Yeah, but they're calling that rural agriculture and forestry. how is that rural agriculture down through there? You know agriculture down through there, once you go past,
It used to be all farms and hayfields.
yeah, but once you go past, like where Dickinson's are.
Yeah, you're almost out of Grafton.
Yeah, you
Well,
are,
you know, okay, you're in
where
town,
Dickinson's, is out of there.
yeah, but you've gone through that little,
Well, you're still in
Peninsula.
Grafton, it's mainly, there's fields on both, well, I mean, you guys started planting Christmas trees there. So yes. But I mean, the Wright Farm was there, the Richards was there. They're all, it's all different now, but those were farms and hayfields. I mean, not so much, you know.
The town line basically goes through the right farmhouse. So, something to think about, that's where I think we should be trying to put a. Or,
The river is right there on the left of the road, but across the road is mainly fields.
yeah,
And some of them are fairly grown in,
all the way down to the border, right?
yeah. Pretty
But
much, yeah.
But even once you get into towns,
Littleton's is pretty close.
they don't have any connectivity down through towns, and it's all ravine, both sides. So you get to the power, right through to the power lines.
Except where somebody built a lure up on top.
Yeah,
of the hill.
yeah. Yeah.
Couldn't they consider the power lines as the, route for all the animals, yeah, I mean, right there.
Well, that's down through towns and. Well, yes, they do follow the power lines for sure.
mhm.
Well, just
But
tip of the iceberg here tonight
Yeah.
with maps.
I would think, there's probably a fair amount of animal traffic through those fields, those houses aren't super close together.
Right.
There's quarter mile between several.
Yeah, I get turkey and bear come right through my living room. To go through, so there's,
I have turkeys on my lawn, I've had a bobcat out there, and they don't seem to be that shady.
no,
Right,
Well,
No.
I had a bear for 3 nights in a row. Come up in the Clark's place just below us, come up to the, come on our porch. And at that point, this is like last week, so we had the bird feeders down and they were, put them in large cans and cover the cans, knock over the cans. Go off the porch, go down to the compost heap, just knock over the compost heap. Not take anything, you know, the traps are good enough for it, then 3 nights. So finally, I learned. I picked up the cans and didn't cover them, just brought them over to the woodshed, left the tops off. As far as I know, the bear hasn't come back.
all right, anything more on the maps, so we can move along to. You don't have much time on the town plan task, my goal there was to we're gonna start thinking about the town plan. And we're gonna start working on some tasks here. We basically got a year. 12 more meetings. Start putting some form of a. Draft together, right?
mhm.
Where are we on? This is where the regional plan commission is supposed to do a lot of updating of our data.
Data,
Where are we on that?
can ask them again, he already knows that we need the data,
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think they have it, to be honest with you.
well, they probably have most of what they'd be giving us. And we'll probably not be terribly happy because some of it may be several years old, but it's probably the most recent that
Yeah.
exists.
The plan's gonna be labeled 28,
Mm-hmm.
but we probably want the data at 27 rather than 26. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So. What I'm wondering is, can we do our task of rewriting without having, updated data, we just have to know data?
Or we do those later, do the ones that we don't need all the data first, get the easy ones out of the way,
Yeah.
work our way into the maps. And then,
Nothing's gonna change too dramatically, I don't think.
No,
So, we can all fill in the numbers. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
about the discussion. And one of the things we were talking about last year when we took a very quick run through that is just making sure we need all these figures and tables. Uh,
right,
Comparatively to other town plans, and the last time I went through 41 of them, and I'm still, my head is still spinning. First of all, ours was by far probably the best, but certainly very close to it, because it was really well done. And who's the guy that led us through?
Dave,
yeah, Dave Cole.
Dave Culver.
Dave Culver, but no, and also Eric before, but that one, the guy we hired, I'm blanking.
Oh, Chuck Wise.
Yeah, Chuck. Yeah. You know, that was good work. And then, between Eric and then going over to Dave, just finally saying, okay, we're actually gonna finish this. It really is well done. You just go compare it to not 41, but 2 or 3 others, right, chosen. It's a good plan. And there out going by, past life, I was trained at the masters in planning and I worked as a planner for several years. It's a good plan.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when the
we don't
regional
need
said
to
that we,
change it much, but if someone asks me, well, this is a plan. And it doesn't have legal status. And you want people to be able to use it. Probably doesn't need to be as big. And as full of data and figures.
well, one of the things I
It
wanted to
needs
do
to be
was,
more user.
I wanted to go through all that data. Like energy and transportation and housing, and look at the action plan and bullet points we had and what wasn't met.
Yeah.
From twenty
Yeah.
twenty. And right away can eliminate all those, because they weren't met anyway. A lot of them were.
A lot of them is just, they're rules of thumb that are being applied, so.
First of all, were aspirational.
Yeah.
I'd say.
And also, this is how much gas people in Grafton use in their cars and, at some level, I don't care, and at another level, I know it's not correct, so.
Right.
But anyways, we don't have to solve that now, but in going through, I think that it might be very useful to have a user-friendly plan that townsfolk don't mind taking a close look at. Be
I don't mind,
rod with a surgical knife,
I don't mind that the town plan is aspirational, and that's what it's supposed to be. I get a little uneasy when it becomes prescriptive. Because the prescriptive parts of things are what the select board is supposed to extract from it and make their ordinances and rules out of. That's not our job. I know with that traditional town plans have been pushed to be more prescriptive, have the shall and must language in them. And that's very dangerous because for one thing, you can commit yourself to way more than you ever possibly could do. And the shall and must is something that we don't have any control over. But to be aspirational to a given policy point or some kind of action that we'd like to see done in the future has a great influence when some person or, either the state regulations or a developer or somebody else comes in and wants to see whether what they're proposing complies with the town plan, they can see what our intent was aspirationally, and that has value.
Agreed.
And off the soapbox.
No, agreed.
No, I agree that, I'm. How we take that, and for instance, at the end of each chapter, we have, all these shoulds and things like that, and, I kind of go through 40 of them for you know, the energy chapter, just saying, you know, what is this all about, you know, if it's aspirational, it shouldn't be too specific. So,
Mhm.
but you know, that we will all work on that as we go through the chapters and we're reading it, and making notes.
Yeah.
So,
In the education portion, you know, we're gonna be at that point where, where's the school at? In terms of education, all unknowns.
Yeah.
So,
well, I know one thing I want in that chapter is the cost per student. Just so hard to pull out of the, you know,
mm,
materials that are released publicly. I think we just say that, you know, this is what it costs.
mhm. I think we should be realistic with our town plan. Yes, be aspirational on a few things, but realistic, here's what it is. Grafton exists. And, what can we do to make it better? Um. So as far as tasks, maybe in the next meeting. It seems like we have something on our plate every meeting here, it's the past year. Of some sort, I think we've done a lot.
Well, last year we went through all this very quickly, you know. So should we start with various chapters and go through, you know, very carefully, so we're, you know, have a nearly a.
Yeah, well, we started making notes.
Complete draft.
Yeah, I've made
Yes.
notes. I
We
think
have
Buzz, you
that.
made some notes, so.
And. Uh,
Maybe the next meeting, we can get Clayton up to speed on. The chapters and. Do you have a copy of our existing town plan?
I don't, but I can,
You can get
it'll be
it,
on the town website.
it's on our town website. If you have a minute, just,
yeah, absolutely.
or two.
These are the maps that we had put up.
Yeah, these are our maps that come out of our town plan. One, we gotta get back up, Ron. Back behind the elevator. Need more of that sticky. But if you could just, brief yourself on all the
Yeah.
chapters, you know, identify the main, chapters.
Mhm.
Uh. Education, transportation, housing, recreation. Grafton's neighbors. It's pretty much a history book of Grafton.
Yeah.
Um. So what task do we want to set ourselves for next month, so we start this process?
Well, let's talk about it real quick. 8:45, I still got a couple more things to do. I'd say next meeting, put that at the top of our agenda item.
What are we putting at the top?
Well, you want to start with some chapters? What chapters do we want to do?
Arbitrary, pick one.
Pick one, Ron.
No, I've been bugging you all night, Barry, since some of this, you know, like the bullet.
Well, we're working on the maps. Do we want to continue? Is it worthwhile to do the maps or too early to do those?
I'd go for one of the ones that's, narrative, of some sort. Buzz, you gonna,
The first chapter is kind of the history and background
Yeah,
of
We-
Grafton.
we just-
That would probably isn't gonna change a lot, but we've gone through that.
We start with chapter one and go right through one of
Yeah, that's chapter one, and there is I guess the big change is now the historic district that
Yeah.
we'll have to acknowledge. So we could go through that and
in the village center.
Yeah.
The village
now is
center.
chapter one introduction, or does it go straight to history?
go straight to history. As I recall.
I think the village center designation is in the town plan.
Yeah,
I think it was planned at that point, now
It's,
but either way.
didn't get approved
get it
until
right.
after,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
or they were working on it then, and now it's happened, so I think it just needs to be updated with that. So I think we can go through that, and that's fairly
Okay.
straightforward, one, but there is some framework updates.
Let's go with it.
And then you know, and that's a short chapter. I'm thinking if it makes sense that the flood resilient chapter is, there's a lot of work that's been done on that, especially by you, since that plan was put in place.
I think we'd start on that one might take more than one meeting,
Okay, so we'll go with chapter
but
one.
we could line it out,
Yeah.
talk about what we need to do.
Yeah. Well, maybe next week, next time, we have chapter one. We bring in the table of contents and we fight over the order that we show through the list.
Yeah, well, again, we'll go through it again, a review for us and introduction to Clayton. We can kind of look at all our notes of what we, of the, mine's right here still. Notes that we made when we talked about it last year. Just keep moving it forward.
Yeah,
And then once we finish a chapter though, we should set it aside. Okay, there it is. And move on to the next one. Don't go back to it.
yeah, except for any updated data, yeah. That's,
We didn't have time to go back to it, but. Because we're gonna have to have go for a hearing.
Oh, it's a process.
Yeah, so get the whole process.
that has to be in place by the middle of next year at the latest.
Yeah,
That whole process takes about 6 months.
so we have to have the draft ready for that,
Oh, yeah.
to go through the 6
Yeah.
month. Fun.
Excited.
Great. You can score some goals.
What's that?
You can score some goals in the town plan. All right, old business, I've got, Weston and Sampson water sampling, the latest was they did 4 samples. They've sent out a certified letter to homeowners in the village area. Dan, did you get one for the end?
What's that?
You didn't get one for the end, did you? No, you're not on the list. So they got 4 samples done, they've knocked on doors. And that's where we are so far. I think a lot of people are still away.
Are they gonna sink any boreholes in the ground before the money expires?
Nope. No, we're gonna do our sampling, and that's pretty much all we got. Whatever the sampling costs is all they're giving us, they're taking the rest of it away. Yep. So we're lucky to get some samples done, find out where we're at. There's other grants that would be available should we need.
Will they gonna continue to do additional homes?
Yeah, they're gonna try to get more, you know, he said 40% is the average wherever they go, the towns. So 40% would mean we'd have maybe 25 in the village plus a few in Holtonville. We should at least have, I'm thinking we should at least get 20 samples. And then go back if there's any issues with any of those 20, right? Identify those and hopefully get neighboring wells if there's an issue.
So were letters sent to, Camford area and to,
That I gotta check, cause they know, it didn't indicate that yet, nor Holtonville.
So we've got 4 samples that have been taken within the village area.
Mhm.
And does that comprise a fair amount of the village area and its sampling, or is it?
There's 2 on Kidder Hill, 1 on Pleasant Street. And where's the third one? There would be one second. Two on Kidder Hill, 69 Townsend Road. Oh, nobody answered. Oh, except it's a 69 Townsend Road. The owner needed some more time to think about it. Okay, so we've got 18 Pleasant Street, 105 and 135 Kidder Hill, and 282 Townsend Road. So 282 is a little further down, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be 0.2 miles. So that's that's a cheese plant.
That would be Williams.
Or the foundation buildings.
My bill was 225.
Okay, so.
It's opposite and further down. Is it the house across the street from the way state, the way field?
You
Maybe.
know,
What's
you
the,
still have, so that's not. the
No,
interest.
you said yours is 225,
Not 225.
so that's the foundation office building, so it must be back somewhere in Nature Museum, maybe?
282?
Yeah.
They're going,
Just,
the road.
just past the Nature Museum. Just past, Ned Williams on the other side. It's that one up on the hill.
it would be the stone house. Or is the house behind the stone house?
Behind the.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. So that, there's a good spread for the first floor. Yes.
The number of points shouldn't be expanded very much, as long as we do what we really intended to do originally, which was to look for changes over time.
Hmm.
So all these points have to be revisited on a periodic basis to see if what they find there is changing.
Yeah. Well, there's enough to sample. I think we started with, we thought 10 at first, and then go from there, do 10, do another 10, and then go back to whatever number of those 10 needed to be revisited.
Actually, they all should be.
How far apart from each testing can they do that? Like, it's,
Time wise or distance wise?
no.
Time
fine.
wise. I'll leave that to them. They've done this before, so let's follow their direction.
It probably should be at least 6 months, or if not a year. You're dealing with groundwater that it doesn't move
Yeah.
very fast.
We've only got funding until September 30th. Even if they do some sampling in September, they're gonna have to bill us for future,
That's a good grant.
or yeah.
Continue.
Don't get me going on how they took the money away, please. Right? It's been horrible.
Yeah, it's. Yeah,
Some, Lee Rosberg is the team leader for Weston and Sampson. He's been good. I asked him to do a monthly update,
yes,
and he agreed that would be a good idea to give us some information that you can share with the select board.
right, and it's also good to have, as you move forward, if you find something and you need to do grant work, you've got that information. Because
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna provide a brief update, for your next meeting next week, actually. He's gonna do an update of what he's done so far.
okay,
I mean, he sent us these emails and they kind of get lost, it's like, okay, now you gotta go back to another email to see what he did before that.
gives a, it gives you.
To give you a synopsis.
Do an update
Yeah,
on this one.
yeah. So that's all I have for old business.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any new business?
Well, we've got the thing that was sent in an email today. Which is the question about, a number of events or a number of categories of events for the Act 250 amendment that the Wyndham Foundation is seeking. You got that, didn't you? You read it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're gonna share that in public comment.
Okay,
Is Suzanne, you still there?
Well, she dropped and then she rejoined and dropped again. So there's nobody in the waiting room.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was a connection issue.
I think we were.
Peter Richardson was on for a while, but he dropped.
Yeah,
Are we that boring?
I'm not gonna comment on that one.
not for us to say.
Okay, so public comment, Dan, maybe you can fill us in. Thank you for staying and waiting with us.
Sure,
Um,
it was actually Suzanne's question was mine, but
I guess I'll read her
Right.
question.
yeah, I'd like to do that and then.
Yeah, let me-
Question to that, I'd be happy to.
Yeah,
Answer that.
so let's see. Pick an email, any email. Thank you.
And this is-
You're gonna do the minutes? I don't know what you said.
Where's the first one? Is it in here?
Okay.
Or do I need to read that one? Okay, we got that. Okay, all right. So it's, this is Suzanne Welch's question. She's writing regarding, Wyndham Foundation's Act 250. Says my memory of the Act 250 hearing is the proposal for 24 events was challenged by both Act 250 commissioners and administrator. Wyndham Foundation's proposal calls for 24 event categories, quote unquote, not a total number of events, quote unquote. The example she remembers is that farmer's market, quote unquote, was considered by the Wyndham Foundation as one category, but according to Act 250, permit definitions may include up to 12 events. So she's wondering about the accuracy of the planning commission's motion to support our motion, which was that the planning commission support the Wyndham Foundation Grafton Trails Outdoor Center Act 250 amendment, expanding permitted events from 3 to 24 based on the types of activities described in the application materials.
So, would you like me to speak to that?
Yes, Dan, if you will, please.
So, yeah, hopefully we can clarify this pretty easily. We asked the commission to approve us for 2 categories, not 24 categories. 2 categories, daytime and night. And then we gave examples of events that could be grouped in either. The reason we did that is that the permit that exists at the property now from the 1990s identifies 3 events and only 3 events that can be used there. And so we were hoping to get more flexibility and gave examples of what some of those activities could be. The question that I think Suzanne is raising, which was a good one, was using the example of a farmer's market. That was one of the suggestions, or one of the examples we had. A farmer's market runs weekly for 8 or 10 weeks. Is it one event or is it 8 or 10 events? And one of the parties was standing, it might have been Dean, I'm not sure, raised that question. The commissioners said that is a good question, and we agree that something that recurs like that, each one of the recurrences should be counted towards a total. So we're fine with that. If you're curious, I'll take it a little further. We're in a process right now. We had the hearing at the end of January. We filed in June. Hearing joined in January. And by mid-February, they released a hearing recess order that gave us a list of homework, essentially, things that we need to do in order to satisfy some of these concerns. One of those things was revise the description of the project in the way that we're talking about right now. And so we're working on that. There were some other things to do too. That was one of them. And their suggestion was to think about this came out at the hearing actually. Think about it as the category shouldn't be daytime, nighttime. This should be about the size of the event. Small, medium, large, which we had actually described individual things that way. If they said, come at it differently, how many small things, how many medium things, how many large things. And there's a metric to go with that. Small is up to 50 people, medium is 50 to 250, and large is over 2. And that's then large is a very, very small number of things like the DSO. We've already permitted to do. So we're working on that now. They've also asked us to do a sound study. We're engaged in that right now with a company called RSG. They wanted us to update parking plan at the trails to show 150 spaces. The site plan that's on file shows 150, but they're not all labeled permanent. Some are labeled permanent, some are below. They add the right number, but they don't have the right categorization. So we're working with some mine engineers to the drone study, which out today actually. It's amazing what they can do. And just essentially remapping the space. So we're doing all of that now. We have asked for an extension on the deadline. Because mainly for the reason of the contractors, takes a long time to get them, and then they need the right weather and so on and so on. So they have actually not responded to that request. And I've spent quite a bit of time in the last few days trying to get an answer and not get them successful. But we filed the extension in March. And I've not heard if they will grant us the extension. Hopefully they will, because we're trying to get everything together.
Another one, traffic. So,
Traffic is another one of those. They didn't require a formal study. They wanted a plan for how we would handle and manage traffic. Russ is taking care of that. He's talked to the sheriff's department. That was one of their specific questions. You know, when is the sheriff's department available? So yeah, we're doing all of our homework. It's taking a long time, and should say we're very appreciative for planning commission's support and the support. It was really helpful to have that, and maybe some words of support there, which again, thank you for that. But it's been a long journey, that's for sure. I don't know if any of you were at the community meeting, Bragg Trails, like, I'm sorry, I don't recall if you were, but it was.
I got the.
I mentioned, I say, you guys, yeah, I mentioned this there for the meeting.
So it's not really an action for us until you get your new plan, and then you might ask for support.
You've given us support, and we're thankful for that. I don't think you, because of reason to change. It was Suzanne who raised a question, not me, about this bit about the events, and so hopefully this.
Just making sure we're all aware.
addressing that.
I'm not sure what she was getting at, whether we were wrong in our motion.
Well, she was wrong in what she said there,
Yeah.
because,
It wasn't very for the category.
yeah. 24 event categories.
No,
No.
that was.
I thought we had approved. I think it was 48, but 24 events, you know,
Up to,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
and 24 events.
but
And,
fit within the categories.
yeah, but 24 events in all.
Right, and
Is what I
so,
thought that we had done.
Mhm.
So the question for you
yeah,
is that, okay, but you're probably gonna have more than 24 events.
not necessarily.
If you have this farm, I'm thinking of the market, you're doing that.
Well, so this is what I mean about the market's a good example of this change. The complaint was made at the hearing, the commissioner agreed with the complaint, and so did we.
Yeah.
That something that recurs like that should be counted towards the total. So if you use that as an example,
Yeah,
if we have a farmer's market, every week for 8 weeks, that 8 should count towards the 24. It's not one thing, it's
Yeah.
8 things. And we don't challenge that.
Yes,
I think it's
okay.
reasonable.
I'm just wondering if, and you no doubt have worked this out as well as you could in the situation. But, you know, maybe enough energy comes up, so people want a farmer's market every week for 4 months, and,
We wouldn't be permitted for that under this.
yeah. Is that a restriction you're okay with entering into or allowing?
It's not what I would desire, especially if the community wants to. But we have to work within the limits that Act 50 will give us. At the moment, the limits are very limited, so we're trying to grow that.
So the limits are such that 24 is as many as you can ask for, or you're?
We thought 24 seemed reasonable based on a few things, not the least of which is our own capacity, how many of these things can naturally show off.
Okay,
And there may be times when, like a farmer's market might be a reasonable example of this. I don't I don't have time to run farmers market, but I could probably find someone who'd like to do that.
Yeah.
And have them come to run. And then they'd pay us a small fee to rent for people, they run a market. They get the vendors to do all of that, so part of it was driven by just a reality check on how many people do we have working, and how, what can we really do? Okay, so I took, from the hearing, I took away a lot of concern about large events, I just want to underscore that is very rare and slight, and one of them already occurs.
Yeah.
You know, would be the sun.
A lot of them depend on the weather.
Yes, yeah, like last year, it still got rained out and there was no VSO as trails, so.
So the skiing and anything else that happens there is exclusive, the skiing.
Yeah, that's the normal daily use, this is about
Okay.
events.
Okay,
And Act 250 prompted us to give them a definition of that, that's one of the pieces of homework with our research, very research with it.
Mhm.
So.
now if you rent the space, is that considered an event?
I rented to another party.
Hmm,
In a sense, yes, because like the tractor show is not a foundation event, that's the Grafton Historical Society, so we've written that in to make sure.
As an
it's
event.
covered. Yeah, if you want, and that would give us something where we say, sure, but it's proper.
now the ball field, just using this as an example, the ball field is owned by the GIA, right?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
If they wanted to hold a farmer's market out there, could they?
I
And
think
why,
so.
and why couldn't they?
Why couldn't they? I don't think there's any restriction on them.
Do they have Act 250 permitting at all?
I don't think they've got any property that has been grabbed by 250. If they did, then yes. I don't think so.
Figured, why does Ground Trails or Foundation have to go through?
Because they already have an Act 250.
They've got
They
property.
already have an Act 250.
Yeah, we have it from already.
No.
Nice.
You have it.
That goes with you to the grave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even if you sold it, the Act 250 would go with it to whomever.
Yeah.
Okay, it will go to you with the grave.
Correct. But Eric's point, when the cheese company was sold that piece of land, we had to do a subdivision, cut that land out to sell it to one farmstead. The Act 250 permits associated with the cheese plant went to Vermont Farmstead. They didn't go away, but somebody else does them.
And
Has to live within the boundaries. Yeah.
one of the things that gets to be under my bonnet is that if a large landowner like Wyndham Foundation, or you had another large landowner in town that also had a huge outlay of different properties, had to have an Act 250 on part of its land. And that by that virtue of that one imposition of Act 250, all the land under that property owner's name had to be Act 250, regardless of whether they had anything to do with what originally triggered the Act 250. And any land that was sold off, didn't matter whether it had any relation at all to the Act 250 originally, Act 250 went with it.
Hmm,
It's a sneaky way of zoning the whole state.
Even in towns that don't have so.
Hmm.
Well, anyway, thank you.
well, thank you.
Thank you.
How do we get this answer to Suzanne, since she's not with us right now?
Well, late in the day, she sent you and I an email, Matt, and I replied to both of us.
Yeah,
And I said something about the farmer's market and the 8 county versus total.
Yeah.
That's helpful. She has already heard that.
okay, so I think her question is answered.
I think so. I think her question is really for the planning commission, so she needs to ask another one. Actually. I did answer.
Well, our motion was based on information they gave us. We were
Right,
not interpreting it, we were just,
yeah, we were not inconsistent.
No, it's you were going off of the application you filed.
exactly, yeah. So her question was basically just a housekeeping. Yeah. All right, that's it. Any other public comment?
Nice discussion. I enjoyed the discussion
This is really something.
and the maps.
Yeah. there's-
Yeah.
Have there been any public demonstrations about like 3,000 people along from the state house about this? That get. Yeah, has that happened? I'm not aware of this.
Not
Yeah,
that size.
about 3 weeks ago, there was a,
There was.
yeah, there was a protest in Montpelier at the State House. It's pretty good size.
On the map?
On, Act 181,
That's on the
That
Facebook.
didn't,
it kind of ties into
didn't encourage anybody inside the building to, in a different direction.
Yeah,
Well,
this is very.
Well, yeah, I don't think they would have all fit in.
you know, there were several hundred people there and it crossed party lines, you know, Democrats and Republicans. And it may have something to, had something to do with, is it since then, that you now have a rural legislative body crossing party lines that's goes in 181, and that carries a lot of weight. For better or worse, it may be the first split that I've seen within the Democratic Party in 20 years, a long time. So that's gonna make them think.
All right, our next meeting is May 12th. We'll convene though on reconvene on April 28th regarding the motion for the 181 letter, which I will put some notes together. Everyone, please send me something.
Yeah.
And I'll put together for the 28th.
And thank you for taking on the initial task.
Yeah. I just lost it, regarding this. Anyway, next meeting and, motion to adjourn, okay? 9:15, thank you, everyone.
Hey, Paul. Yes, you too. You saw.
Okay, cheers to killers. These will be guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.